Hello, I'm Tony, and today we are going to puzzle our way through time in the Silent Age, which is currently free from the Epic Games Store until the 6th of April 2023. This is a point-and-click adventure game that promises a terrible post-apocalyptic world future, which sounds fun, right? You play as Joe, a janitor at a tech-based defence contractor called Archon in 1972, and the game starts as you are called up to the boss's office. You don't get any clues as to what the game is or what you're supposed to do, but fortunately it's straightforward enough and you're listening to this video. I'll tell you. Let's discuss the graphics and sound first, shall we? I'll assume you said yes. The graphics have a very distinctive style that kind of lacks detail in the character models, has a bit more in the environment, but which actually works quite well. It's a simpler style than the likes of the new Monkey Island, but it does make it very clear what can be done in the environment, and definitely has a charm of its own. The sound seems to be where developers focus their efforts between the two, and probably their budget. The most notable aspect is the voice acting. It's a really strong part of the game, and that's quite important since the story is central to the experience. It actually really helped to immerse me in this world and this story. I can tell you how good it is. I listened to all of it, and I didn't skip the dialogue once.
Of course, Joseph. How long is it that you've been with this company, Joseph?
About 2 years, sir.
Ah, yes. Then by now you must know that what we do here is very important. National
I
security.
can't give it higher praise than that, can I?
Most people, Jasper, but for men like you and I.
The sound effects also bring the world to life, fading in and out as you move towards and away from the source. There's also general background noise in the game that kind of helps set a certain mood for each scene. The developers do recommend using headphones, but I didn't. So I can't tell you if it enhances the experience or not, or if there's sound panning across left to right and so on, but don't tell them I didn't put headphones on, eh? So, it looks simple but charming and sounds great. Question is, what do you do and how does it play? Well, I'd call this a cross between an interactive story and a point-and-click adventure game. There are quite a lot of in-game cutscenes that tell the story of Joe and the time-travelling tale you take him through, with a pretty simple point-and-click puzzle game squeezed into the gaps. I don't mean this is a bad thing though. It's just that you have to have the right expectations going into playing it. Ideally, play this for the narrative and not the puzzles. I found the puzzle element pretty easy. The game changes the cursor for interactable objects, so a quick scan of the screen with the mouse gets you all the details you need to know, and there are never more than half a dozen interactions in each area, which really simplifies the puzzles. These are all pick up this object and use it in one of a few different locations. The usual chain of interactions you get in any point-and-click game. What is a little different is how short the majority of these chains are in this game. It tends to restrict the number of areas you can access at any one time, and it makes it plain when you're misusing an object, or trying to enter a room you've no need to enter anymore. All the interactions are pretty intuitive and straightforward, and because you only have a couple of unsolved interactions at a time, it's easy to remember where a new object needs to be used. This also means there's not too much backtracking, and any that you do have to do isn't very far. It's also not too taxing on the old grey matter, fortunately for me. There is an added element here though, that does give these simple sounding puzzles an extra dimension. And that dimension is time. For most of the game, you have the ability to jump forward or backwards in time, which is essential for solving many of the problems you encounter. For example, you need to get into a room, but the door's locked and you can't find a way to unlock the door. Well, you can probably jump forward in time, and the door's rotted away, so in you go. You can search around this effectively new area, then jump back in time and don't worry about the door, you're in. It effectively doubles the number of areas you can explore, and I think it adds enough to make up mostly for the simple nature of the puzzles. There are a couple of puzzles that really leverage the time travel element. I'll not spoil them, but it was fun to figure them out and see them implemented in the game. There are a couple of quite clever solutions there. The story feels like it was the real reason for this game, and it's a good one. It's so well presented in the sound and the charming graphics, and it's genuinely interesting that it made this game a really enjoyable experience. The gameplay and the story in-game cutscene aspects are pretty well balanced between each other. Both were engaging while they were the focus of the game, and neither of them wore out their welcome. I felt invested in Joe's fate and the mysteries that get uncovered as you progress. Again, none of which I'm going to spoil. I did notice a few discrepancies between the voice acting and the subtitles, which sometimes was enough to kind of change the meaning of a couple of lines, which was a shame for such a story-led game, especially given how professional the voiceover was. But in my experience, subtitles are never entirely accurate in games, so I'll give it a pass. The game is pretty short. The entire run for me took just under 3 hours, which is another one that only just gets past the return policy on Steam. The normal price is £8.50 in the UK, which might not be an issue for you. I mean, it's a judgment call for everyone to see if 3 hours is going to be worth that money or not. I'm undecided about that, but as it's free right now, I definitely recommend grabbing the Silent Age for a good story and a mild brain workout. A mind jog, if you will, rather than a mind run. Okay, I've got my own time travelling to do now, so I'm off. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Goodbye.